Thank you all, and welcome to our final concert of the 2017 season. It seems like it was a very quick 8 weeks, but that it is. Boy, we got a really good crowd today. Some of us were just sitting up here before trying to estimate, and I'm lousy at trying to estimate crowd sizes that we have from one week to the next. And I would say generally, those of you who are here all the time, don't you think we probably get about 150 maybe? I think tonight maybe we got a little bit more. So what I want you to do is one by one count off. One. Come on. Go ahead. No, very nice. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. The first song you heard was a little march called The Century Boy. We're going to move into something 50s-ish. This was done originally by Teresa Brewer, by Ohio native Teresa Brewer, and this is called Music, Music, Music. Short one. I want to make sure I say the right thing here. The next up is a programmatic piece called The Swarm. And what this is, it is historically based on a battle during the Revolutionary War. And what happened here, and I don't remember the name of the town, but the British were invading this small town, New England town, and the townspeople heard about it, so they all ran and hid somewhere. Well, the Redcoats came into town, and they decided, like Redcoats do and other invading forces do, they were ransacking and looting and taking everything they could find. And the commander of the Redcoats just commandeered a house and was standing in the doorway of this house just laughing at everybody and, we're taking over. Well, as the soldiers were kicking things around and taking things, they disturbed a swarm of hornets. The swarm of hornets went after the Redcoats and started stinging them. The Redcoats threw down their guns and started running away. The militiamen said, oh, they threw down their guns, let's shoot them. So the militiamen then started picking off the Redcoats as the Redcoats are frantically trying to run away from this swarm of bees. And the laughing commandant managed to get one through the head while he was laughing at everybody running away. And as the British continued to retreat, the militia managed to wipe out almost all of them because they were stationed along the road all the way back as they went along. So this is sort of how a swarm of hornets helped us win the Revolutionary War. And I believe you'll hear those hornets in here. So this is called The Swarm. All right, you heard the bees? Hear the bees? Hear them? Okay, good. All right, changing gears here now. We're going to do a little medley called Hollywood. And this has got, as you may guess, quite a few different songs from different Hollywood movies, from Hollywood musicals. Included in this are, thanks for the memory, theme from Star Trek the Motion Picture, Moon River, Never on Sunday, Over the Rainbow, and the Raiders March from Raiders of the Lost Ark. So this is called Hollywood. All right, we're gonna change gears here a little bit now and play our hymn song for the evening. This is called "Hymn for a Child," and this was written by Ohio composer James Swearingen, and it was dedicated to the birth of his first grandchild. And this has been a while ago now, but it was his first grandchild, and he based it on the old, generally children, the child's hymn, "Jesus Loves Me." So this is called "Hymn for a Child." All right, I'm sure a few of you out there are familiar with Red Skelton. Everybody know who's Red? And Red Skelton does what? Red Skelton obviously is most famously known to most of us as a comedian, but actually he was a Renaissance man. He wrote plays, he did write a book, he was a composer, he was an artist, he did lots of different things. This particular next song is a march that he wrote called Red's White and Blue March. And this actually was done a little bit later than I would have thought. This was published in 1965. So those of you who are familiar with Red Skelton will maybe now see a different side of him. This is Red's White and Blue March. All right, that was a nice little march. Now we're going to do another nice little march, but this one's a little bit different. This one is by Tchaikovsky. This is called March Slav. And to give you the background, I'm just going to read what it says because it says it a lot better. Believe it or not, something says it better than I could. I know it's hard to believe. March Slav was written in 1876 for a benefit concert for soldiers wounded in the war between Serbia and Turkey. This eventual outcome of that conflict was the Russo-Turkish War, which provided a spirit of Slavish nationalism in Russia. Tchaikovsky accordingly used Slavic airs as themes for his march and even incorporated the Russian national anthem for moments of maximum patriotic effect. Okay, so there's your background. There'll be a quiz later. This is March Slav. back to a little bit more movie music here. This is from the original Lord of the Rings. This is just sort of a medley of different themes that happen throughout the movie. What I think is interesting in this was composed by a man by the name of Howard Shore, who recently has done lots and lots of movie music. He originally started as a studio musician, and when Saturday Night Live first started back in whenever it was, 55 years ago or whatever it was, he was the band leader for Saturday Night Live. And they used to feature the band a lot of times, and they would wear Navy uniforms, and they would go by Howard Shore and the Shoremen. So, but this was written by Howard Shore, and this is a medley of tunes from The Lord of the Rings. All right, it seems like it just wouldn't be a city band concert without a little patriotic theme here. So this is called Let Freedom Ring, and it is some very familiar patriotic songs that I'm sure you all know. Included are You're a Grand Old Flag, Home Sweet Home, When Johnny Comes Marching Home, and America. So this is Let Freedom Ring. We've come to the end of the last song of our main part of our program, And before we go on, there's just a few people that out there that I have to thank. First of all, this wouldn't be possible. Well, it would be possible, but it wouldn't be nearly as much fun without you people sitting out there. So thank you all very much. We really appreciate everything that you do for us and all the nice compliments you give us and even some of the criticisms you give her. And, but it really is very nice to see so many of you here. Maybe once they get all this money into the courthouse landscaping, they'll put a new tree here that you can sit under. So we can do that. Also, he wasn't here last week, and I spent a lot of time thanking him. Well, he managed to crawl on the woodwork tonight, and once again, I want to give the biggest thanks to our Mayor, Doug Johnson. Doug has been a great help and a great support to this band ever since his term began, and he's been, ever since I took over, he's been a giant help to me, and I really appreciate it. Also, in his office, Cindy Rao does a ton of work for me. A lot of times when you buy these songs or get some of these old songs, they don't have enough parts to go on them. I always see copies made, and I take them to Cindy, and always with a smile, I'll have them for you tomorrow, and it never fails. So I really appreciate Cindy. I know she's not here, but let's give her a big round of applause anyway. Also, our perpetual roadie, Scott Noble, we would like to thank him. He always drives our trailer. He helps us set up and tear down. He drives our parade truck during the summer, and he's a giant help to us. So thank you, Scott. WBMU, they're here every week taping, and WBNO, WQCT, I don't know if you realize it, but they do a pre-concert warm-up on Wednesday mornings to give you a taste of what's coming up. So both of our local media stations have been a big help to us, so thank you to all of them. Of course, the Chamber of Commerce, they've been also a lot of help to us, and they help us coordinate a lot of things. So Chamber. And finally, I said a lot to them last night, but it doesn't really count until I say it to all of you too. I can't thank the band members enough for what they put up with me and the results they do for me. It's a tremendous band, and I can't thank them enough. So thank you. Let's see. So that's enough of the thanks. Okay. Thank you, June. Thank you, June and Dave, for also singing for us every week. Thank you, appreciate it. Oh yeah. I almost forgot Kiwanis. Oh, heavens to Betsy, our friends at Kiwanis who are here weekly, selling you salty popcorn so they can sell more pop. Now we really appreciate it, and we get a little cut of that, and they go to other community projects, and it's really great. We thank them. Also, even though we're done this week, the music on the courthouse square will not stop. Next week, the Bud Whitmer Root Band will be here at. Are you doing 7:30? Also, okay, 7:30 again. Next week, the Bud Whitmer Root Band will be here. Also, for community events coming up, I hope that you'll all make a plan to attend the Addams Family musical up at the auditorium. Starting tomorrow night, goes to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon. It's a great show. It's really a lot of fun. And I know a lot of people, for some reason, a lot of people go, I don't know anything about that show, so I'm not going to go. Why would you go to something you know about all the time? Do you just read the same book over and over, watch the same movie over and over, watch the same TV? No, go do something new. It's a very funny show. It's a very touching show, and it's got some good music and so a great cast. So I hope you'll go up there for that. We end tonight's main part of our program with the Billboard March. All right, David and Judith, come on up.
While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains, through the prairies, through the ocean, white with gold.
Thank you all very much. See you next summer.